Pay close attention to this video. A man was with his daughter and he told his daughter that she was very smart and he was proud of her. At that moment, a woman arrives and tells the policewoman next to her that this was her daughter, but the man said that he did not know what she was talking about and the little girl says that this was not her mother. The officer asks if the man was lying to her and the man says no. He says he could prove that this was his daughter, but the woman says the man was clearly lying to them. The man says he is not lying and shows a picture of him together with his daughter, and at that moment, another little girl appears and hugs the woman. Everyone is surprised to realize that the two kittens were identical. The girl says that the one who had arrived was her best friend and the man said that his daughter's friend was very similar to his daughter. The officer then says that in this case, she couldn't do anything about it and says that they should try to understand what was going on and leaves. The woman then asks the man how old his daughter was. The man says that his daughter was 6 years old and the woman is surprised that her daughter was also that age and she said that they were probably sisters as they were identical. The man agrees and says that they were probably sisters and that the situation was very strange. At this point, the other man arrives and asks his wife what she was doing there, since they needed to leave. He then realizes that the girl was just like his daughter and is surprised. The woman says that the girl was identical to her daughter, but the man says that they didn't look that similar. The woman said he was crazy and said the girls were identical. The other man tries to tell his wife that she was crazy and that the girl didn't look like his daughter. He tells them they should leave, but the woman insists that she needed to know what was going on there because the girls were identical. Meanwhile, the man was writing a note in the notebook saying they should go to the hospital. He hands it to the woman, but the woman says that the notebook did not belong to her daughter. The man says he had a note from the teacher on the last page of the notebook and the other man says they needed to leave. The woman realizes what was written in the notebook and then agrees to leave. As they were leaving, the woman says that she was finding the situation very strange and that they should find out more about it, but the other man says that she shouldn't worry about it as it was just a coincidence. She then says that it couldn't be a coincidence, as the girls looked very similar and that she wanted to know what was going on. The man said that she didn't need to worry, which would just be a coincidence and that this happened a lot to people and then they leave. Later, they go to a hospital and tell a nurse that they want to know what happened. The man comes in and says he also wanted to know what was going on and then the nurse says she would tell them. So, we are shown that a long time ago, a nurse was with a child when the other man comes up to her and tells her that she should get rid of that child and hands over a large sum to her. She said she couldn't do that to the child, but the man took a picture of her with the child and said he now had proof and could end the nurse's career. He said that if she didn't do what he had told her, he would end her career, but the woman said she couldn't do that because that was his daughter and he needed to take care of her. He told her that he didn't want to be a father and that she needed to do what he was telling her, but at this point, another nurse goes up to the man and tells him that he was going to have another child. The man is very surprised by this and says that he couldn't handle the situation. He then tells the nurse that she should get rid of that child too, but the nurse says that she couldn't do that to that child and that the man should take care of her, but he said he wouldn't do that and asks her to solve that situation. She said she wasn't going to do that and then she leaves. Later, the nurse goes to the woman and hands the child to her. She then asks where her other son was, as she had heard the nurse say that she had had 2 daughters. The man then says that unfortunately, the other child couldn't resist. Hearing this, the woman becomes desperate and she begins to say that she couldn't believe this was happening to her. The man then says that his wife didn't have to worry about that as they were going to take good care of the daughter that was left and that all they needed to worry about was that girl. Meanwhile, the nurse was thinking about what she could do with that other child. She then remembers another man who had gone to the hospital to have a child, but his son had not been able to resist. She said that the man seemed to be a good person and apologized to God for doing that, but said she needed to save that girl. She said that was what happened and that she wasn't really to blame for anything that had happened, because the other man had asked her to sell the children and she couldn't do that. She says she knew she was guilty and that if they wanted to call the police on her, she would understand. She said that she had seen the man very sad about losing his wife and that she needed to do something. She said that she had done it so that everyone could be happy and that she did not regret having done it, because the man was very sad about the loss of his wife and that she tried to make everyone happy. She said she would understand if they didn't want her to continue working there at that hospital. The woman says that what the nurse had done was something very wrong, but that she did not see the need to call the police for the nurse to be arrested. The man says that they would have to think of some way to solve the situation. The woman thanks the nurse, saying that she at least knew what had happened at that moment in her life. She says that despite everything, she was finally able to understand what had happened. The nurse says she was very appreciative of what they were doing for her, and then the man said they needed to leave. Later, the woman goes to her husband and tells him that she already knew everything that had happened. She asks how he can do that to her and says that the nurse told her. The husband is surprised by this and asks about what his wife was saying, but the woman says that she already knew everything that had happened and asks him to tell the truth. He realizes that there was no point in lying anymore, so he says that he had done it, because he was too young and didn't want to have that child. She then says that she couldn't believe that he had done that to their daughter, but says that the situation made her realize that she didn't want him around anymore. She says he would never be around her or her daughter again. She says that this situation was too much for her and she couldn't bear to know that the man who always woke up next to her and who took care of her daughter had actually done this to her. She said she never wanted to see him again and told him to leave as she would want to divorce him. He then says that the truth was that he never wanted to be a father and that he ended up needing to stay as he needed to take care of the girl. The woman, still very angry with the man, says that he had not thought about what he was going to do, as he tried to get rid of only one of their daughters, and that she could not understand what was going through the man's mind at that moment. He tells his wife that he tried to get rid of his daughter, but that when he was told he was going to have 2 daughters, he couldn't think about what he was going to do. He said that there was nothing else he could do at that moment and that he decided to stay to take care of the girl. The woman said she couldn't believe the man had done that to their daughter, and she said she wanted to divorce him and walked away. Sometime later, the man was talking to the woman about what they were going to do. From that moment on, she says that, although the man was not, she heard, of course, from that girl. She couldn't separate him from her, for he was a good man and a great father to her. He said he agreed and says he thought the girls should get along more because they were sisters. He said he didn't want them to spend time at school and that they should spend more time together. He said that he thought they could spend a lot of time together and that it would be very good for them. The woman said that she agreed with that and that she wanted that to happen too. He then asks her if she didn't need to ask her husband about it first, but she says that since she wouldn't forgive her husband for what he had done, he wouldn't give an opinion on it because they were going to divorce. She then asks if the man doesn't need to ask his wife about it, and he says that unfortunately his wife had passed away, so she couldn't say anything about it. The woman apologizes for what she had said to the man, and he said that he didn't care as he had already lost his wife a long time ago and that he now had his daughter to be by his side. He says that now they could be a family, and then the woman says that they could take a picture together to celebrate.